most phenotypical. Like we're the most diverse in the world. No, not even that. Not even that. Scratch them off the list. I'm talking about the black Africans. What got short, tall, stocky, all
Nah,
that.
you
So
know,
can I ask you a question? If we're every phenotype and we're indigenous pretty much to every
Who
land.
was
it
indigenous to
is. You
where?
funny.
Stop saying we're indigenous to everywhere. I'm not indigenous to everywhere.
No. I'm saying in general. I said melanated man and woman is
Anybody could.
melanated man and woman is
Anybody could.
they're they don't have very much melanin in them.
Yeah.
Most of them
So
don't. They don't
say
have very
black
much.
people. Say black people.
How about heavily melanated people?
No, say black people. Say what
Why
you
I
need to
gotta use
say.
I
black?
don't want to
No,
be
say it
black.
correctly. Say black.
Because
Why
black
you
is
not
the
saying black?
misnomer. Because
I
What's
want
black
to
wrong
is
with
be
not
saying
dead.
black?
because it's not a nationality. It doesn't attach you to the.
That's a race. It's not nationality. Black is not
Black is
nationality.
not a race. Black is.
So let me get in on this conversation. I agree with this lady, Blessing. She is from Congo, and she's arguing with two males from America who are of a fair skin tone. Let me just say this: there, you can really, this internet, man, like it's showing like the internet, like it shows a lot what goes on in communities in America. Um, you can see like what all this hatred, this violence, you can see where it's coming from, really. And like you really can't say you don't take blame for it because like we created this mess, Africans, by mixing with Europeans and creating another class of people, like a mulatto class, an octoroon class. We created this. He's on here and he's basically at a point where he's going to start calling her names and he's going to get kicked off the stage. Um, this talk is basically about whether African Americans are African. And again, I've talked about this in the past where like you have people saying that Africans are stealing American culture. They Africans come from Americans. Like it's crazy. Like here's the thing, man. The guy here, he says he's Akimak. I don't. I guess that's in Virginia. The other guy, he hasn't said where he's from. So it's like be proud of who you are. You know what I'm saying? But like, don't force it on other people. You know what I mean? Like, we understand what all this is about. And like me, like I see what's going on. Like I've been seeing what's going on. Like being from Chicago, right? You see what's going on. Like I can remember growing up where like people would get beat up after school for looking at a fair skinned girl. You know what I'm saying? Like I remember seeing all of this stuff. She, like the guy will just be walking by, he look at her, he doesn't have anything going on. She just gets mad and say, do this to him, do this to them. Like I've seen stuff like this happen. Like, and I've said this before, like when you think about lynchings in the South, you can't just say like, oh, black people were getting lynched by mulattoes. Like, let's be serious about this. Like, it just wasn't white people lynching black people, Negroes. Like, that was like half of the story, right? That's like, they were just people, they were just like bypassers, bystanders. Like, they had nothing to do with what was going on in the South. Like, they just got here. Like, lynching's been happening. So, it's like when you think of a lynching, right? You think of Sharia law. You know what I'm saying? Like, and if you look at Sharia law, you know what Sharia law really is. It's an attack on a permanent underclass. People who can't help change policy because of their poorness. So like I'm sitting here and I'm listening to him, and it's like you can see what's happening in some of these houses in these communities, man. Because like this stuff is getting out of hand, where you just have people like they're uprising against Africans for Africans just being who they are. Like I don't hear in none of the spaces where Africans are saying bad things about Americans. Like they're not like Africans. They're not really a monolith, even though they have their own class of traditions and their own class of nationalities. Like they're even not a monolith. Like they accept Europeans into their societies. Like the lady Blesses from Congo was just saying, she has family members that are lighter skinned. And she's telling this guy at the bottom, like, she knows people in South Africa who looks like him. You know what I'm saying? Like, and he is just saying, like, we're not African. And like, okay, cool, you're not African, but you can't. Like, I'm sitting here and he's saying things like, dark skinned Americans don't all agree with Africans. And I'm just like, dude, I agree with her 100%. Like, I agree with you two, like, none, like, absolutely none. Cause it's like, how are you going to sit up there and try to create a rift between dark-skinned Americans in America and Africans? Like, you can't do that. Because, like, most dark-skinned Americans, like, they are not on this app talking about any of the things that you all are talking about. Only people I see causing problems between Africans and Americans are people with fair skin. And then you say, like, we're copying the culture, but then, like, you really can't say that. You know what I mean? Like, you really can't say that because, like, not only do Africans speak more than one language, most Americans only speak English, only recognize English. You know what I mean? And, like, not only that, like, most of America at this point, bro, is like, it's mixed. Like, a lot of mixing has occurred. And then, like, you see places like Chicago and Philadelphia, like, all of this stuff is about colorism. All these shootings you see, all that stuff is about colorism. Because I don't know what else it could be. I don't know what else it could be. Like, a lot of that stuff is, like, about colorism. You know what I mean? Because it's like, why would you have a problem with somebody who doesn't look like you, but may be related to you, obviously, because you all are living in the same districts, the same wards, the same boroughs. You know what I mean? The same parishes for those in Louisiana. You all are living in the same part of a particular campus, whether it be the south side, the east side, wherever you may be. You all live in the same campus. And you all cannot get along. Like, how are you two gonna be American and both be armed and not know one another? Don't want to know one another. You two are armed. You two have gun licenses. Open carry. You two don't know each other. But if one steps on someone's shoe, someone looks at someone's girl, someone talks to someone's friend the wrong way, like, it's an issue. Like, this whole culture of this I'm with it type of thing, like, it's out of hand. And it's out of hand in America. You know what I mean? Like, Africa really don't deal with this. Africa deals with secularism in the sense of religion. And that's been going on since forever. When you talk about Bible thumpers and Quranists, that's been going on forever over there. America is about colorism. Someone light skinned may have a weapon and he sees someone dark skinned, don't know him, never seen him. I've witnessed this with my own eyes. Never seen him, and he has a problem with him. He wants to take his life. I've seen this type of behavior. And I always wonder, like, who is these people's parents? You know what I mean? Like, who are their grandparents? Why is there such an affinity of hate for Africans? And like America government, the federal government, they have to take most of the blame for this, because I remember when I was in elementary school, they had in the books I think the books were published in Texas for elementary schools, basically middle school. The books had ships in there with slaves on them, like cargo slaves. They depicted this, and it was all Negroes on that ship. No variation of color on that ship. And I'm thinking, like, how is it that you go to Virginia and they teach their students that, you know, the Welsh Indians were Indians? And then when you come to the south side of Chicago, you get books from Texas and it's published there. And you look at the depictions in the book, it's slaves and cargo, and they're all Negroid. No variation of color whatsoever. All dark-skinned people on this boat. We've all seen that picture before. We've all seen this textbook. Published like in what, 99, 98, 97? We look at this book and it's reprinted. That's how they depict Negroids. And then they depict Welsh people as Indians. So like, the federal government has to take blame for that. That alone is a lawsuit on the basis of discrimination. Look, as a kid, right, you don't think of like, oh, that's a lawsuit. That's grounds for assassination of character. You don't think about none of that stuff. You don't think about defamation, the libel. You don't think about none of that. Libel, none of that. You don't think about none of that. All you think about is, I got to read this. I got to do homework on this. That's all you think about. Like, why are we depicted this way? Then you're having to walk home and you have to worry about what goes on outside. So you got this book in your book bag. You're walking home at 9 years old, in my case. Heavy book. Because, you know, we had the desks where you can take the book home or you can leave a book in a desk. Them desks is from the 70s and 80s. The open mouth desk. So you can slide your paper in there, your pencils, your erasers, your glue. And you're thinking like, do I take this book home or not? You get home, you come home to a mother. You don't come home, in most cases, you don't come home to a father and a mother. You come home to a mother. And you have to open this book and look at that image. This is before the internet. And a lot of people who are of the millennial group, they came home, if they lived in the suburbs, they came home to a mother and a father. They didn't get to look at that image in the book. That's why many people don't talk about it. I wish I still had that book to this day. You know what I mean? Like, that book would sell for a lot of money. So like Blessing, she's saying a lot of good things. I know she has to be disgusted with Americans over here. You know what I mean? Because it's like she sees what's going on. She's pointing a lot of things out, and I'm just like, wow, she knows her stuff. She knows her stuff. She knows what's going on over here. And this is why a lot of them are saying dark-skinned Americans need to come back to Africa. It was a failed experiment, man. Like, I see this every day. Like, why are we mixing with Europeans, creating classes of people? Like, you hate yourself that much? You suffer from cognitive dissonance that much where you can't put two and two together. What is love and what is lust? What is day to day and what is survival? You can't put two and two together. Like what she's saying and what they're saying is like completely opposite. And like most Americans that you see here, whether they be dark skin, fair skin, the stuff that I've come across, you don't see classes of people like that together. This is why I always think like the fair skinned people, their parents must be fair skinned and also white, because you don't see dark skinned people commingling with lighter skinned people a lot. You don't see that. You used to see it, but you don't see it now. Everybody's kind of like doing their own thing. You know what I mean? Like everybody's kind of like off on their own. And like I saw it in the 90s where like you live in Chicago and you hear somebody get locked up for murder or something like that. It's like it's playing out before the world. What's going on in Chicago? That's right there. That's the American culture right there. Like it's playing out before the world. It's playing out. You see everything that's happening right there just played out before the. And then you also say, well, when did dark skinned people become not the Indian people on this side of the globe? Everywhere you go, the indigenous person is a dark skinned person. So like to cover that up, it says a lot. Wherever you go, there are dark skinned people, and they're always ruled by a class of straight hair people, whether they be dark skinned or light skinned. In this case, like East India, Indonesia, British. Like the British, they're over the Jamaicans. You know what I mean? Like Jamaicans are indigenous to where they are right now, and also that part of the country, like Ireland. You know what I mean? Like they speak the tongue and everything. So I don't know how to take this when like you see Africans and Americans arguing all the time. I don't know how to take that. I really don't know how to take that. Like, how do you sit there and just say Africans come from Americans and to look the way that you look? Like, that's being disingenuous. That's why I say, like, a lot of Americans, they have snakish behavior. They can't be trusted. Never trust people who stand around and do nothing, and never trust people who always have their hands in their pockets and behind their back. It's different in Africa, right? I see it all the time when they, go live and they're broadcasting, their parts of the country, whether it be like Kenya or Uganda. I see how they are, right? The youth are dancing to American music. Like one time, the lady, she's from Uganda. She's playing music by Luther Vandross. She know the lyrics and everything. She even knows his name. Most youth over here don't even know who Luther Vandross is. They don't even listen to his music. They don't even like that 70s, 80s, 90s. They don't even like that genre of music, that soul, that R&B. They don't like it. They like shoot 'em up, bang bang music. You see what I mean? Africans are going to keep the culture alive. because they see the struggle of us over here. They see the struggle. They see families get broken up from the day that the baby is born. The baby is born, the family is broken up. The father's pushed aside. The black father, he's pushed aside. The mother goes off and marry a white man. Now this white man is a stepfather to a black child. How does that happen? Where's the common thought in that? Like, where's the common error in that? How did something like that happen? How is something like that okay?
But that's what me and a couple of were trying to say. Hi, Lenny. Where you from?
I'm from America.
Are you indigenous to America or are you African descendant?
Indigenous American.
What's your tribe?
Well, you see, our people, or copper colored people, we've been on here before these slave ships or whatever. Yes, I'm not saying that African Americans, y'all may have came here a little later, but nappy headed, copper colored people been here. Stop playing.
We have a source to show us where copper colored
I'm the
people were here
source.
in
I'm the
America.
source.
You're
Okay,
not. We need a primary
Lenny.
source,
What's
like
your language? Then?
anthropological evidence.
I'm the source, man.
You're not. You're
Lenny,
just a
Lenny,
person.
speak the language.
I'm just kidding. I'm African American.
Okay.
I'm just trolling, bro.
Heavy is the head. Can you come up and tell us what's to marry?
Yeah, Tom Mary. If
What
you
is
Google, look it up. We looking up everything else. Everybody talking about sources,
I
right?
want you
It
to.
means the
Tom
Americas.
Mary is
Is
the
what it means.
it's the America. It's the
So
American
it just
land,
means the Americas.
Yep. It just means the Americas.
right? So Tamerica is America, right? Do you hear the phonetic?
The
How
Americas,
phonetically
which
similar they
includes the
sound? These are
Caribbean islands, North and South and Central America.
So it just
North,
means
It's
South,
the
the
Central, and all
Americas.
Americas.
this. Exactly. So look up Tameri. Since we
It
talking
just
about
means
colors,
the
and we want to.
Americas.
I don't really get that. Like the other guys, they left. Like I said, they were either going to get booted out or, blocked. So there's another guy, he come up here, he's trolling. No, he's not serious about the discussion. He's not a Pan-Africanist. He's not trying to bring people together. Like, if everybody around the globe is dark-skinned and they're indigenous somewhere, whether it be the Aeta, the Jara, Jamaican, if you want to use a nationality or ethnicity, whoever, right? You can see all these people, right? The Bold tribe, right? You can see all these people. And you say, like, North, Central, South America, we're indigenous. What commonality do you have with the Portuguese fair-skinned people, the fair-skinned people in places like Brazil? Like, there's no problem with them, but you claim them. But there's a problem with Africans. When there was a land bridge across the Atlantic Ocean at one point in time before it was broken before that land sunken. Because, like, if you, the dark skinned American, if he looks like them, he shares their shade. Forget cranial structure. If he shares their shade, all these tens of millions of people weren't just boarding airplanes, going back and forth trading. They had to see each other before at one point in time. That's why I said it was a land up right there. It had to be a bridge. It had to be some type of trading connection, some trading port where they can go back and forth and see each other before we even start mixing. Because there had to be 4 people. You have 2 parents in Africa and 2 parents in America. This is why Africans don't look like Americans and Americans don't look like Africans, but they share the same complexion. Africans don't troll really. They really, like, it'll be a joke here and there, but it'll be kind of like a far back. Like, you wouldn't really get the joke, you'll just get the charisma behind it, like the laughter. You know what I mean? Like, Africans, they're warm-hearted. They laugh at anything. It could be a non-funny joke. They'll laugh at it. You know what I mean? Like, African Americans, like, at this point, I'm just going to start calling them Americans. You're dark skinned, I'll just call you African American, because I can see there's a difference already right now. They don't want to be associated with Africans. I can see that now. I don't know where this movement sprung from. I don't know where it sprung from. Because in the 90s, the early 2000s, everybody was Pan-African. I don't remember seeing, I don't remember, I always thought like Africans look one certain type of way. 2003, you couldn't tell me that Africans could dance better than Americans. You couldn't tell me that Africans could speak more than one language than them. I always thought Africans were poor and neat and desolate. And they always had their own culture of extraordinary things, right? The plate in the lip, the gauge in the ear, the markings on the face, the tats. You know what I mean? Like, that's what you knew Africans for in 2003, 2004, because you didn't see them if you were in the hood. Now everybody's using transportation. Like, you see them now. You see them in pockets of your city. You see them. You know what I mean? Like, so, like, you may have a hatred for them because you probably tried to talk to one of their women and their women shot you down. Their men don't have any problems with people talking to their women, right? Because they're a welcoming people. They're accepting. You go back to the early 2000s in Chicago, the South Side, you talk to a fair-skinned woman and she knew some guys or whatnot, the guys would come after you and jump you. They'll beat you up pretty badly. You know what I mean? But a lot of this stuff is like fantasized. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of the stuff we hear and see is kind of fantasized. But like, the stuff did happen. It's kind of like put over the top in a sense now. But the stuff did happen. It did happen.
To marry ancient Egypt in America.
So now the conversation has kind of halted. No one's really talking now. It's just an empty type of space in the air. Everybody's on the stage though, but you know, it's kind of empty now. No one's really talking. You know, I collect Bantu masses. All right, sorry about that. I was interrupted, but let's get back to the discussion. I was saying, I collect I collect Bantu masses. It's kind of like, you know, how kids in the 90s and, you know, the 80s used to collect basketball cards. I collect Bantu masses now. Like, I collect artifacts from Africa. You know what I mean? And like, they're all independent sourced. They're not stolen from any villages. You know what I mean? Like, I collect them because it's my history. We exchange stories. It's kind of like what Tupac says. We trade war stories. You know? It's kind of like when you're in the barracks and you're stationed at a fort and you're on the bunk bed talking to your battle buddy. He's from Georgia and you're from Illinois. Real life. You know? So another guy just came in and he's talking about Tamari. I think he's African. So, you know, like Tamari, Chicago, Tamari, Memphis. Like, it has its origins everywhere, right? Like we were one group at one time. We weren't just people mixing with everyone. We were one group at one time. We had trading ports where we gave information, where we ate together, where we sourced together. Like, we were one people at one time. It wasn't that we became a triplet, a confused triplet, until we started mixing with Europeans and mixing with Asians. That's when we started to falter. That's when we started to not know who we were. That's when we started to get distant from one another. Like, to this day, like me, I can talk to an African and I can be one with them. Like, it's nothing to me. Like, we got the same disposition, the same kindness in our heart. We don't want to hurt anyone. Like, we subsist. You know what I mean? It's kind of like when you hear Khalid Muhammad say things like, there's a ravage in every white person that you see. You know what I mean? He doesn't say that about his own people because he knows his own people. You know? It's kind of like how you see Farrakhan get more praise than Khalid Muhammad. It's kind of how you see Malcolm X get more praise than Khalid Muhammad. No one even knows who Khalid Muhammad is, except Pan-Africanists. Because when you go to the NOI, all you see is Americans, lighter skinned people, right? People who've been termed American. They're not termed what their mother is or what their father is, who may be a European. They're not termed after them. They're not said they're a French person. They're a German person. Again, I've talked about this in the past. Like, everybody, if you mix, everybody is just considered black. And I think that's the wrong approach. Because you don't tell history fairly. You don't tell it how it really is. Let's listen.
Oh,
So
hold
at
up,
least let
hold
people
on,
talk.
hold
I
on.
got it. I
What you
got
got?
it. You say it is
Can I at
time.
least let me finish my
Ma.
point?
Hold
Can I
on, let
finish my
Rico
point
finish.
before that
Uh,
lady interrupt me?
Let Rico finish. Go ahead.
Jesus, bro. All right, if you understand Egyptian mythology, then you'll understand the father of all Egyptian
no, man, he's
mythology
wasting your
is,
time, this guy. He's wasting
bro,
your
why
time.
you
I
cut
got
me
it.
off?
Hold
You don't
I
on,
have
got
let
it,
him
nothing. You
Ama.
don't have nothing. You
finish.
just went to go Google something. Let me
No,
explain. Let me
this
finish.
guy. This guy is wasting your time.
Hold on,
So
let
let
him
me finish, you
finish.
dummy.
Hey,
The dickhead.
hey,
The father of,
hey.
okay, hold on. All right, hold on. Let me finish. The father of all Egyptian mythology is Thoth, which is also known as Tahuti. And he said it
Wait,
himself in
he's
his,
wasting your time. Is a name.
oh my God. This
Let
guy
him
is killing me,
finish, you
bro.
guys. Then you can rebuttal. Go ahead, Rico.
This guy, okay, so if you understand, if you know anything about Thoth's teaching, and can, if anybody can prove me wrong, he is not the father of Egyptian mythology.
All right, so they're talking about personalization. I don't really talk about history in that format because it's like history can mean anything to you. It's your language group. Everybody has a different language, so they don't understand the same thing. But what we know is to be fact is factual. It's not a matter of your opinion. Like, yeah, Tamari did exist in America. Like, yeah, Tamari did exist in Africa. Yeah, Tamari did exist in Asia. It was just worded differently. You know what I mean? So, like, Europeans, they know this history, man. This is why, like, you'll always get calls. Like, you can be in the middle of the day just doing something, right? And you'll just get a call out the blue, and you'll pick up the phone, and no, a person won't say anything. But then you figure out, like, okay, my number is public. You know what I mean? So it's like, is this person calling me because they got my number off the internet? You know what I mean? Like, then they'll say something like, hi, is this so and so? Or they'll text you or something like that. Like, look, I know you got my number off the internet. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's like Europeans, they know this history. That's why they're always befuddled. They know this history. They know who you are, and they know you don't know who you are because you're fed this whole story that, you know, you don't know anything. You're fed that story like you're busy doing something else, and while you're busy doing something else, they know you're busy doing that something else, and they're busy learning your history. So they know you don't know who you are because you don't take the time to figure out who you are. They know you don't know the real history. These people have all type of disc in their homes, so that like they have all type of devices in their homes. Like, these people know. Like, people will come on my YouTube page and they'll leave a comment, and I'll go on their page. They'll be playing some game from like the 70s or something like that, the 80s. And I'll be like, how did they upload this? You know what I mean? Like, you'll be trying to figure out what devices they have. Like, and their name would be something wow, and they'll have like a photo of a cat. It's their avatar or something like that. Like, people, they're removed from this whole idea of foot wars. These people are playing mind wars now. And then before you know it, we're going to be playing Star Wars. We're not far from it. It probably won't happen in my lifetime, but we're not far from us shooting rays out of a starship, out of a spaceship. We're not far off from that. Because, like, if you really look at it, like, people don't walk around anymore. Like, people do things for show now. Like, that's why I don't really show, like, much around the city. Because it's like, people don't really walk around anymore. Like, they don't meet each other. You know what I mean? Like, people aren't doing that anymore. People aren't walking around talking to each other. Like, people are removed from reality, really. They're really removed. You know? People are thinking about other things. Like, so, like, you can listen to these people, man, and it's like, and like, it's a woman panel, right? I guess the guy is a host. The host is a guy, but like, it's a woman panel right now. Blessing, she was leading the charge. Like, she has some good things to say. I don't dibble and dabble in what's going on in North America really no more. It's Eurocentric. Like, America is Britain right now. Like, it's Eurocentric. You know how many jihads Muslims are having in Britain right now against the Welsh people? Like, it's stabbings in public every day. You know what I mean? Like they're not even putting that on the news. I'm more concerned about what's going on in Haiti and what's going on in Africa. I don't really care about the Dominican Republic. I don't really care about any other isles. I don't really care about what's going on in South America, Central America, because like those people, they are mixed now. That's not my issue. You know what I mean? Like I'm worried about how can we stop the north part of Africa going into Central and South Africa, exploiting the children, exploiting the women. That's what I'm concerned about. This is why I donate every month to make sure that children are being fed, they're being clothed. That's why I do this. This is why I sponsored a child from a mission over there. This is why I sponsored a child. You know? So like when you hear like fair-skinned people get on these panels and they don't show their face and they'll show like an ancestor or something like that and they're talking to Africans sideways and you'll be listening to them like, okay, that's how they feel about dark-skinned Americans here. The way they feel about Africans, that's how they feel about you. They don't care about if it, like I'm looking at the comment and they actually allowed this comment to go through. Some guy named Jaquan White, he said, I hope them Africans are eating mud pies. I'm not donating to you all. So I'm guessing like this got to be a European guy using a black name. But like the African lady, she like so accepting and nice. She doesn't even recognize that he's dissing her. Like she just says like, well, if you still want to donate, please find in your heart to do so at this website. And I'm like, man, you know this person is from America and then they're saying this. That's when you know, like, okay, that IP address, it needs to be hacked. The Homeland Security needs to tap into that address and say, okay, this is the person who said it. Render up an apology. You know, if you were to do these type of things in other countries, that you'll be censored and you'll be hurt. You can't do this in Sharia countries and largely Islamic countries. You can't talk about other people in a demeaning way. They'll off your head with that type of stuff if you come over there with that. You can't take away from civilization because you have a fit in your pants that you just don't like someone. You have a hissy fit. They're not going to let you get away with that type of stuff. They won't accept it. They won't accept it. You go to China thinking you're going to mistreat people, their government won't allow it. Especially China. More so than a country like Japan. Like Korea, Philippines, you can't get away with this type of stuff you do in America over there. Because they won't allow it. They won't allow it.
Everybody in the world was aspiring Bantus.
Oh,
Language does the Bantu have that predates the Egyptians?
Thor is written all over Egypt. It's Toe, the
What
lightning
language? I
guy.
ask you. This should be easy. You should be able to tell me the name of a language that predates
my boy.
the hieroglyphics.
hold on.
Wait. You are a chicken in this knowledge. In this game, you are a
I'm
chicken.
not shaking, bro.
The best thing you can
Chicken
do
in
is
the
just to listen.
Oh, my fault.
You are
My
a
fault.
chicken in this game. And you're never going to learn anything. Because if you're not willing to listen and learn like a child, then you're going to
You don't
chicken out
listen,
the
bro.
whole
You still
day.
talking about Thor. I said Tahuti.
You are a chicken, my
Thor
boy,
is a
in
Celtic
village.
god.
And
He's
the
a
village doesn't
European
work
god.
like that.
Yo,
You are
can
a
you guys
chicken,
tell
you
him I'm
die
not
a
talking about
chicken, my
Thor?
boy.
He's talking about a
If you don't
Celtic
want to
god. That has
learn,
Listen,
nothing to
you
do with
don't
our
have
listen,
to.
culture.
listen,
You
listen. I
understand?
don't know who you're all. I don't know what space you're all accustomed to. This space does not sound like this.
Bro, yeah,
We do
your
not
space is
talk
always like
over.
this.
We do not talk over each other on this space.
Same thing.
And Rico,
Y'all
you
do the
got
same thing
one
every
more
day.
time,
You
sir. You got one more
Rico,
time before I
Rico,
drop
Rico,
you.
come on now,
Strategic,
Rico,
but y'all do the
Rico.
same thing every day. I've
Fuck
seen
off
your
this banner.
space.
The fuck off this banner. And Dobre, he back up here.
I wouldn't even argue with Africans about Egyptian history. Like, if they know what they're talking about, they likely know what they're talking about. They can give you firsthand accounts of images that they've seen over there in the form of writings or in the form of language. Also, they have a tradition of passing down stories. So they have oral history. They have oral traditions. I wouldn't even argue with them about a country that's right next to them. Like Sudan have pyramids. I wouldn't even argue with them about that. Like, true enough, America has mounds. But like, think about that. Like, who was talking about mounds before like Pan-Africanists was talking about pyramids? Like, Pan-Africanists, they were talking about pyramids. They weren't talking about mounds. You didn't start hearing about people talking about mounds until the American Indians came around. You know what I mean? And they started to find like certain clippings or certain historic facts about places like Cahokia, Illinois, and stuff like that, like, or Natchez, Mississippi, or McLean, Texas. Like, they weren't talking about any of this stuff until then. Like, no one was talking about mounds. Like, I don't remember, like, even today, right? You'll hear the older guys. You'll hear older guys say, like, I don't really care about you being a Sioux. I don't care about you being a Navajo. Like, they are staunch Pan-Africanists. They don't care about Native American history, and they're from here. They don't care about it. They care about African history, because African history holds the keys. African history predates American history. It predates it. African history predates American history. Because you got to think, the Pygmies, they came before the Giants. The Giants were in America. You think about the history, like, you think about the Bold tribe over there in Sudanese, the Twa people in the Congo. You think about the Pygmies, right? Their history, it predates what's here in America. So like, everybody wants to know, like, what more can we find out about the ancient ruins? No one really cares about what's going on in America, because it's everybody over here and they're doing things to your history. They're rewriting your history. They're removing things. They're removing historical monuments. They're removing all of this stuff. They're replacing it with their history. Like, I had a brief disagreement with the guy. He was messaging me. He was like, my people are these people. And I'm like, okay, well, you're a federation, so it means you're a tribe, right? And he's like, no, we're not a federation. And I'm like, so you're not federally recognized. I know you're not locally recognized because you have no location. You know what I mean? Like, you have no location. You don't have a state that you can say you lead in a population. You don't have a city where you can say you lead in a population. You don't have a town where you can say you lead in a population. You have no census record that you were on before the 1900s. So it's like, who are you? You keep saying you're. Then when I look at your photo and I look at your picture, you look Asian and you look Scottish. Like, you can pass for Mexican. Like, so who are you? Like, who are you? You giving me these names, and these names they can't be found on the street. I can't find these names I can't find these names in history books in America, like nowhere. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's kind of like, you have a name, right? You have a name, and this name can be found in places that you've never been. Like, you're called the Sky People, and there's no sign or direction that says that can lead you to the Sky People of Norway. But yet, there's someone over there calling themselves the Sky People. Then they come to America and perform. They're singing all your old records, and you're like, who is this person? And I know you all know who I'm talking about. It's like, who is this person? So your history is remixed every day. They could easily go into the Akashic records and pull things out and say, here, man, y'all are these people. Leave these indigenous people alone in America. Leave these indigenous people alone in Africa. Leave these indigenous people alone in Asia. You all are these people now. You're Europeans. You just learned about this, what happened during this time when your people were existing. Nah, they want to give Europeans our last names. They want to give Europeans our first names. No one has a problem with them doing this. All the problem is directed towards Africans. Everything wants to be turned black on black crime. It's never brown on brown crime. It's never brown on black crime. I had to make this video because it's like, while I speak this language while I can, I need to just like make a route where like people can understand in the future why I chose to speak my traditional language. Why I chose to, and why I stopped talking in English. Why I stopped talking in American. Because, English is just American, right? It's not British. It's not the king's English. It's the prince's English. And that can be looked at in a number of ways. All right, so
of lies and some of the other shit he doesn't even understand. He just talk. Chivon. It's not in his language, most. He doesn't know the language and the meaning of the language.
I can't hear what she's saying.
Is he saying like facts? Like, is he?
Hearing a lot of things
about Hebrew.
But I gotta study what he's talking about. But I did hear something he said that was wrong. You said they named it the land Africa. That's not true.
Who named? What did he say?
He said they named the land Africa. That's not true.
No.
Say it again. You're not.
You said they named the land Africa.
We don't speak slang here. We're not slangers here. Just put it up straight like a man.
Hey.
And this is why I said, if I'm fortunate enough to have kids that looks like me, if I'm fortunate enough to have kids that look like me, right, I'm going to give them African names. I was kind of on the fence about this at first. Then I said, I'm going to give them African names. I have to. I have to give them African names. I have to give them ethno-centered names. It's important. It's important to me. Because you can't have kids that think that they're included or somehow the same as people in this melting pot called America. You can't do that. You have to give them a name. You have to give them an identity. And it says this in the UN charters. You have to give them a name. You have to give them a language. You have to give them a tradition, a ceremony. You have to give them these things while they're young. You have to speak to them in another language while they're young. Otherwise, the stuff you're seeing today is going to continue. Grown-ups in America, they see what's going on. The guy said on the stage the other day, and he also said it today too. He was like, the children are running the community now. The grown-ups, they're just out of their mind. That's exactly what he said. The children are running the community. The grown-ups are out of their mind. This is why I listen to Maurice Black Wolf. This is why I listen to Atom Bold from the UK. This is why I listen to them, because their spirits resonate with me. I don't follow a lot of people on this app. You know, I'm mainly on YouTube just looking at farming, of Africans doing farming or selling stuff out of their shacks. That's all I'm looking at. You have to resonate with the right spirits. Like, my children, they're teenagers, they're not going to be in a house listening to none of that drug music, none of that hyper masculine music, that hyper femininity. They're not going to be listening to any of that. Like, we're going to have vinyl records in our house. Like, I got a whole box of vinyl records from like 70s music, different genres. That's the type of stuff I listen to. You see what I mean? Like, this stuff it's not hard, right? The old adage, it goes, it takes a village to raise a child. That's true. These are African proverbs. These are African proverbs. You can't row the boat in a different direction as the person rowing in the other direction. You all are not going to get to where you need to go on in the right timing. That can be rephrased so many ways. Great peace. Yakoki.